Alright, today I'll be repairing a 4th generation iPod Touch. As you can see here, the screen is cracked, very bad, and here's the replacement screen and the adhesive needed. Those are really the only 3 parts that you need to successfully replace the screen, in addition to basic prying tool and screwdriver. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to do is work the prying tool in between you have the metal, a plastic layer, and then the glass. You're going to work the prying tool in between the plastic layer and the glass and begin prying upwards, starting from the top right hand corner and working your way around. You have to be sure not to start from the left side, because there is a ribbon cable here and here, so the right side is the best possible place to start. Now you want to make sure you get your prying tool underneath the LCD, because the new screen and LCD come as one part, so you can go ahead and not have to worry about damaging it. Alright, I've gone ahead and lifted up this side of the screen. Now you're going to go down around the bottom of the home button. The home button will come off with the glass, so don't worry if you see it starting to come up. And you're going to want to continue to work your prying tool down and around and underneath the screen until it comes off like that. Now this screen is particularly bad, so it won't be as messy as this, but once you've gotten the bulk of this off, you can go ahead and clip this little cable right here, because now the original screen is no longer needed. Now there is one part you'll have to save, and that's this right here, this little piece of metal. Alright, and so you just want to take that and put it off to the side. You can go ahead and pick off all the pieces of glass from there if there is any, and you can go ahead and throw away the old LCD. Now the next step is to pick off all of the old adhesive if you cannot reuse it due to glass shards. Now you do want to make sure that you get all of the glass shards, because if you don't get all of it, if you leave a little bit behind, then the new screen that you put on won't fit properly, so it'll be raised up or whatever. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pause the video until I picked all the glass shards out. Alright, I've gone ahead and picked out all the glass, and as you can see, this little metal piece, I picked all the glass out of that as well. Now, the 2 parts you'll have so far is the metal piece, the home button. You just set those aside. The next step is with your screwdriver to take out these screws. One here, 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 there, there, and there. Those are going to be the, not that one, that one. Those are going to be the screws you take out, and this whole metal plate's going to come off. So you go ahead and unscrew all of those. Now you need to make sure that you don't lose any of these, and these screws are set by size. These 2 top screws, there and there, assuming the home button is facing you, these 2 are the same. These 3 are the same, and then these 3 are the same, and I've set them separate accordingly. Here are the top 2, here are the side 3, and here are the bottom 3. You want to keep those separate. Okay? Now the next thing you're going to do is same with the LCD and digitizer, the glass. You're going to start from this side and pry upwards. Don't worry if you hear a little bit of, it's not popping, but it's the adhesive letting go. Now you want to make sure that your prying tool is only prying on the glass and not the circuit board beneath. So you're just going to work that tool all the way down. Now there are little clips that you'll have to break loose to get at, but it's not difficult. Alright. And that comes completely off. Well, yeah. Okay, as you can see, I pulled this up. Now, before you pull off this metal piece, there's a little metal plate right here that you're going to have to pull off. So you can just stick your prying tool right underneath there, and it should pop right off. And set it aside with your other tools to be put on later. Alright. Now that you've gone ahead and removed that metal piece, you can pull off this metal plate. Now you want to try to not tear off this gold insulating tape, but if you do anyway, it's no big deal. And set that aside with your spare parts as well. Not your spare parts, your parts to be put on later as well. Okay, now the next step is you have to be very careful here. This is the plate for the back camera. Now what you're going to do is you're going to pry between the plastic underneath the plastic and the metal right here, or the plastic and the circuit board. Do not pry in between the plastic and the metal, or you will break that back camera and you'll have to replace it. So the plastic and the circuit board is what you're going to pull apart, and it should just fall back like that. Okay? Alright, the next step is to remove this screw here, and I believe that's the only one. Yes, just remove that one screw, and that'll lift up this green circuit board. And you want to set that one aside as well, because that is its own size. Okay, now that you've removed that screw, you're going to take your prying tool and just simply lift up this circuit board until it comes up like so. Now you just want to raise it up just enough to pretty much get your finger in there. Okay, now the first thing you're going to do is you're going to unwrap this gold tape here. If I can find the corner. The seam. Okay, you're going to unwrap this gold tape. I'm not working in front of the camera. Unwrap that gold tape until you get to that piece that you clipped earlier that's still plugged in down below. And that's just going to simply come right off. Now you want to be careful when you're working with this circuit board, because there is a ribbon cable right there, as I mentioned earlier, and you will break that ribbon cable. And if you do, well, it's really hard to replace. Okay, so it should come off like that. Then you're going to want to save that gold tape, because we're going to reuse that later. And you can throw that piece away. That's a part of the old screen assembly. Okay? Now the next step is to take your new screen and voila, remove it from its case. There's the new screen. Ta-da! Okay. Now, this is probably one of the hardest parts, is you're going to put this piece right here underneath where you just pulled off that one connector, and you're going to plug it in right there. That's rather difficult to do. I use my pliers to just pinch it together once it's aligned, and that has a tendency to work. And then you just wrap the gold tape around it as you found it. And from this point on, we're pretty much working backwards, and should be fairly easy. Alright, I've gone ahead and reconnected the connector, or not connected the connector, and wrapped the gold tape around the connecting surface. Alright, now the next step is to push the green circuit board back down and push the camera back into place. You just stick it right in until it stops moving. Okay. The next step is to screw the screw back into the circuit board. To make sure you grab the right one, you should have set them aside in order so that you can remember what's what, because they are different sizes, the screws. Okay, so you're going to screw it back into place for the circuit board until it stops. You don't want to make it snug, but you do want to make it tight. So, okay, now that that's in place, we can go ahead and replace this little metal cover that goes over top of the actually no, I lied. You're going to put the metal plate back on the iPod first and replace those screws. Now when you put this on, you see the two little clips here and here. You're going to put that underneath the side of the iPod and lay it down. It should just lay right down without a problem, which it's giving me a problem. Alright. Oh, what the heck? Gotcha, baby. Alright, had a little problem with the speaker assembly, but now that the metal plate is back on, you're going to press this tape back down and then reapply that little metal piece that I mentioned earlier back on. Now there's a little hook right on this side, and so you're going to slide it up underneath the edge of the plastic right there, and then just push it down until it snaps. You should hear a little pop, little click, and once it clicks, then you know you're good. Okay, and now the next step is to put all the screws back in the order in which they came out, or, well, just back in to the right holes. Okay, now I will stress again, these screws are different sizes, and if you put them in the wrong holes, although they may fit, they will not hold properly. Okay, so you have to put them back in the right slots. So go ahead and put all the screws back in. Okay, I've gone ahead and put all the screws in. Now, as before, you want to make sure the screws are tight, but not snug. You don't want them to be too tight to pinch down the metal. So I'm just going around and checking them all to make sure that they're in there good. Okay. Alright, that's finished. Now the next step is to plug this connection in right here. Now, before I do that, one thing I do need to mention is in this cable here, there needs to be 3 folds. It's going to fold down like that. Let's see if you can see this. It's going to fold down and then over top of itself. so that there's 3 fold marks. If you can see that, 3 fold marks. Okay, and then the screen's going to lay down like that with the that connector plugged in, and then the screen's going to lay as such. Okay. Now, before I plug anything in, to make it easier, you're going to want to apply the adhesive. The adhesive is 3M adhesive. I got this from iFixit.com. They have the special adhesive pre-cut, that way I don't have to cut it. It is very small, so it is very difficult to cut if you do it yourself. And they, as you can see, it's pre-cut. This is for the top, this is for the bottom, and this is for the sides. You can see how small that is. Okay, now as mentioned before, you're going to want to make sure all of the glass is removed from the outside and the inside of this iPod, because if you leave any behind, any of the old adhesive or any of the glass, the new screen will not sit properly. It'll be raised up higher or crooked or anything else, even though the screen may work. I missed a little bit of adhesive here. Okay, so you're going to make sure that everything has been removed. This adhesive isn't expensive, it's like $3 to have it pre-cut like that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and apply the adhesive and then restart the video. Alright, I've gone ahead and applied the adhesive. This is my first video, so I apologize if it's a little choppy. But as you can see, the gray here, which is the back side of the adhesive that I haven't put on yet. Now there are little punch outs on this adhesive, as you can see here, that you will need to punch out. I just use a little pick to punch them out with the hole. Okay, and it coincides where the punch outs go with what the screws and where the home button would be. Okay, now this little metal piece that we removed in the beginning of the repair will have to go on after you apply this little connector. So let's go ahead and put this adhesive on, and then we'll apply that connector. Okay, I went ahead and applied this adhesive here, and the next part is to remove this adhesive on this side of the screen that you applied earlier. Now, as you can see here, this little hole, little dot is for the light sensor, and you want to go ahead and try to align this hole with that dot as best as possible. That way, you don't have any problem with your light sensor picking up in the event that you use it. I use it on my iPhone. I find it helpful, so when transitioning, but if you don't use it, then it's no big deal. You can go ahead and just slap it on there. You don't need to cut out the extra slot for the light sensor, but you do need to align this with that hole so that the clips are in the right place. Alright, once you have that aligned, now you can go ahead and plug this connector in here into that little slot right there. Now sometimes, every once in a while, you get lucky and get it plugged in on the first try, but other than that, it can be a little can prove to be difficult. See if I get lucky. And I did. I got lucky and got it on the first try. Now, as I mentioned before, this cable here needs to be folded in 3 times. The first time is going to fold down and then back, as you can see. Alright, and then the third time is going to be over top of itself. Okay, now that little metal piece that we just connected right there is going to hook up underneath this metal lip here. Okay, so when you apply, put the screen on, you're going to wrap it around, up and under, and then lay it flat. Okay, and as you can see, those are 3 folds. Now I need to remove the adhesive covers on the side adhesive and the bottom adhesive, and then we can go ahead and continue on to the final stage of the repair, which is actually laying the screen down flat. Alright, now that all of the adhesive covers have been removed, we can go ahead with the final stage of the repair and lay the adhesive down flat. And I just popped off that little connector that I put on. Let's put that back on there. There we go. Okay, now those little hooks are in, so we go ahead and put that home button in there. That should have been in there in the first place. Okay, and then you can go ahead and lay the screen flat. Now, the person who wanted me to do this repair wanted a white screen put on instead of the black screen that they had on originally, and there are different colors. You can get a blue, you can get pink, green, purple, you can get one with the Transformer symbol on there. You can get just about anything you want. Now obviously they don't come from Apple, but you can get them as aftermarket screens. Now on this screen the metal is bent slightly, so it doesn't fit perfectly as it should, so this person will have to get a case, because I cannot bend the metal back. It's very difficult to do, but if you did not damage the metal on your screen, then you should have no problem. So we're going to go ahead and clean all my fingerprints off there and show you that the screen works. Alright, had a little scare there when this screen wouldn't come on. Turns out that the battery is dead. As you can see, I moved from the original position I was at and plugged it in. So, as you can see here, it works absolutely fine. No problems whatsoever, and the glass is brand new. Alright, thanks for watching. That's it.